What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? You are tuned in to the Arrowhead Chief Podcast, episode 177. It's free agency and draft talk today. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon, good evening. We got a lot to get into. Got a special guest coming on. He's going to come on and talk about free agency and draft with us. Without further ado, let's talk Chiefs.
Yeah, Arrowhead Chiefs. It's your girl, Miss Nicole. Queen of Hustle, baby. Started from the bottom, now we here. My homie at the start of his career. Let's go. Try to warn him early, hear the truth. Tune in every Sunday for the juice. Arrowhead Chiefs Podcast, bringing all the news. If you missed the play, come back for reviews. Chris Style, out here rapping for the crew. Post game highlights, go subscribe on YouTube. If you missed the play, come back for reviews. Post game highlights, go subscribe on YouTube.
And we are back. Arrowhead Chief Podcast, episode 177. Like I said, I hope everybody's having a good evening. We got a special guest from Arrowhead Pride, Caleb James. What's going on, Caleb?
Hey, Chris, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Always good to have you on the show, man. Talk free agency, talk the draft. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's talk about some of the in-house signings first. Free agency with the Chiefs, they kind of took care of home first before they went out and signed some outside free agents. Of course, the big splash was Chris Jones. They brought him back, make him a Chief for life, signed him to initially a 3-year, $95 million deal. They brought back Drew Tranquil. They brought back Derek Nottie, Tashawn Wharton, Deion Bush, a lot of the guys that were instrumental on this defense. What were your thoughts on some of the in-house signings, outside of, of course, Chris Jones? What were some of your initial thoughts?
Well, I also really liked them bringing back Drew Tranquil. I was happy to see that get done because what he did for the defense last year, being able to play like the multiple linebacker positions, but also filling in as the starting middle linebacker when Nick Bolton missed some time with injury and playing pretty well. That was big, but he does a lot because he can play the Mike backer. He can go play the weak side linebacker also. He's awesome in coverage against tight ends and athletic running backs. He's kind of this linebacker type they've been missing for a while now to where he can go do stuff like that. He's versatile to where they can use him in blitzes. So I was a big fan of that. That was kind of the first domino they had, though, because then it was that Saturday night that they gave Chris Jones the mega deal. But that's really bringing back two, key pieces of the defense.
Yeah, for sure. And then they also put the franchise tag on L'Jarius Sneed. Now, with L'Jarius, there's a lot of, speculation going on with him with the franchise tag. We heard Detroit, then we heard the Colts, then we heard the Titans. Like, we're hearing all these teams that supposedly wanted L'Jarius Sneed. Now they say his asking price is what's holding up the deal. They're saying initially the Chiefs agreed on trading him, but what he's asking for is a little bit too rich for the other teams, saying a lot of people are concerned with his knee. What are your thoughts on the whole L'Jarius Sneed situation?
I don't know. I just feel like there's too much smoke to think there hasn't been some conversations going on because you're hearing back and forth between, legit NFL reporters and someone's burner that's been incredibly accurate throughout the entire thing, man. So I'm like, I don't know, and I don't know. You got guys saying as close as a 3rd-round pick and then another pick, and then you got some guys saying there's not been any talks. It just kind of feels like something was close. Both sides might have backed off a little bit. And now here we kind of are in this situation where, one team probably wants Sneed on their roster. The Chiefs are, I think they'd be okay to have them back at 19 because they are going for this 3-peat. And, it is an expensive number and they may lose out on regaining compensation, but a chance to go win a 3rd straight Super Bowl is worth paying that, in my opinion. And then you got Sneed's camp. They're obviously probably don't want to play on the tag. They're more than likely, just because of some of the issues with his knee, he's going to want that more long-term security. But I mean, also at the same time, he's asking for the highest paid money of any corner, and he does deserve it after this one season. I just feel like because he didn't really, put that level of football on tape, maybe his first couple of years, even though he was very good, he didn't really enter the elite conversation until this last season. I feel like that and the medicals are probably preventing some teams from making him the highest paid guy at that position.
Do you think it's a possibility that he gets traded, around the draft time, or do you think like by that time it's just like the Chiefs are just like, we'll just keep him?
I think it kind of depends on how comfortable they are with the cornerbacks in the draft and where they want to draft. Because here's something to kind of think about also. The Chiefs do have some like needs in the draft. And if they did like wait till draft day to trade Snead before they are addressing it, then they're probably going to have to, find a starting caliber corner. And, we could say, yeah, we'll do what Veach does. He'll go take a mid round, late round guy and turn him into someone. That's still hard to do. That's still taking a risk. So I feel like if it gets that late in the game, I think they're just going to hold off. They're going to say, all right, we can draft another guy to maybe get ready for it to replace him in a year or so, or maybe just wait till next season to address it. But I feel like if it got that late in the game, they'd be like, well, we got to also kind of get ready to maybe draft a tackle. We got to maybe draft another defensive end or another defensive lineman, or one of these other positions, definitely a wide receiver at some point.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
So,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Uh,
go ahead, man.
no, I was just saying. Speaking of wide receiver, we all know that's the elephant in the room. With all the controversy with the wide receiver room last year, with the drops and everything. Just all the bad stuff that happened with the receiving core last year. Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, just not developing like we all thought he was going to do. They bring in Hollywood Brown, so they signed him to, initially a cheap deal because we see these receivers in this offseason getting paid. Calvin Ridley got a big payday. Um, Jerry Judy just got an extension that was, big money. Gabe Davis, Darnell Mooney even got a little bit of money. So, initially I was surprised that, Hollywood didn't go for the money and go get, in this market, he could have got, I think he could have got at least what Gabe Davis got. I think he could have got that. So I was surprised that he took the 1 year, 7 million. And it's initially an incentive laid, deal. He has to get these many yards to get this many touchdowns, stuff like that. What were your thoughts of them signing Hollywood Brown? And were you surprised that he signed what he signed?
I wasn't necessarily surprised by it. I think it was kind of one of those moves you can see on the Chiefs' radar. I was a little bit surprised, like you said, that some guys got bigger deals than him. But for a guy like Gabe Davis, he probably knows that's what he's going to get. We've seen Hollywood Brown have 1,000-yard season in the National Football League before. We've seen him have some very productive seasons. And he's also played in some offenses that weren't the most passing friendly or just played on a bad team like last season.
Right.
So there's kind of, all of that to take into consideration, but also he feels like the kind of guy from what, he feels like he's real confident in himself that if he has a quarterback like Mahomes, it's going to be able to put it on him consistently. Because you've seen some of the plays he made when he had Lamar and a healthy Kyler, those guys can put it on him. If he's got a quarterback that can do that and he can go out and have a big season, he's going to be probably one of those top guys when it comes to, how much money he's going to make per season next year and a big signing bonus and everything. So it's not like a small deal the Chiefs offered him. It's kind of like similar to what they were going to pay MVS for the last year of his deal. So they kind of like, they cleared that out and now they're giving it to Hollywood. But I'm excited for it just because, he brings some dynamic ability to the offense.
Speaking of that, when you watch him, what are some of the things that he possibly can bring that we were missing from this team?
I don't think this past season the Chiefs had a receiver that could consistently catch a go ball or a deep ball in stride. MVS could kind of turn around and backpedal and catch him. Justin Watson did a pretty good job if he could like break to the sideline and kind of eyeball it up, but we didn't really have like that. Oh, a guy gets a couple of steps of separation and Mahomes puts it over the shoulder. We just didn't see much of that this year. That's what Hollywood's going to bring to the offense. He's a good route runner. he is going to be able to stretch the field vertically for them. But I'm also excited to see how Andy Reid decides to use him in like the intermediate passing game. Also, it's going to be something nice. And I think that at some point in the season, they'll probably run him on some more underneath routes too to create just separation if teams start manning up a lot. And also very good against zone coverage. Like he is going to probably pick apart some of these zone coverages. He's just got a natural feel for where he needs to get to, where he needs to sit down at. And that's impressive for a guy that, hasn't played with a passing quarterback with the caliber of Mahomes or a passing offense, the caliber of Andy Reid's yet in his career.
Right. And like you said, he's still young. He's like only 24, 25 years old. So he takes this prove it deal, goes out there. Even if he puts up, let's say, 8 to 900 yards, he's still going to get a big contract from somebody. If he puts up at least 8, 900 yards, 7 to 8 touchdowns, he'll definitely get a contract. If it's not from the Chiefs, maybe they bring him back and, extend him. Somebody's going to pay Hollywood if he has a solid season, a very good season. So I do like the signing. Hopefully, we get the deep ball back. Now with free agency, it's kind of like I would say that third tier. Most of the big names have kind of come off the board, and we still have some needs out there. There's been word that they might even bring in another veteran wide receiver, but I want to start with left tackle because that is a position of need for sure. Some of the bigger left tackles have kind of come off the board, like a Tyron Smith, uh, Trent Brown just signed with the Bengals. Who are some guys maybe that they can bring in that could possibly challenge Wanye Morris or whatever draft pick for that left tackle spot?
Yeah, so getting ready for the show, when I was looking at some stuff yesterday, I saw that Josh Nyman had gone unsigned, but then I checked again like an hour ago when I hopped back on, and he signed with the Panthers like last night at some point. So I was like, oh, that's typical. And he's like not even like he wasn't even like a for sure starting guy. He's like a
Mhm.
swing tackle, come in and compete with Wanya. But yeah, I mean, you're right, man. The tackle market is starting to dwindle. Here's a name though. David Bakhtiari is available. He has been healthy in about 2 seasons. I don't know what kind of money he would command because he was one of the higher paid guys in the league before he started to have this string of injuries.
Mhm.
But with that, I mean, he could be a guy who comes in, and if he plays 10 good games, it's going to be some pretty good left tackle play. But also,
Mhm.
you're going to have a chance to continue to develop Wanya because he's going to have to play also. And
Right.
honestly, at this point, if Donovan Smith doesn't retire, they might just consider retaining him and bringing him back because I know he struggled a lot last year, but he does know the system. He was good
Mhm.
in the playoffs when they needed him to be. And also, they should feel confident that even if he does go down or struggles, they do have, a capable guy like Wanya waiting in the wings to come in and play if called upon.
Yeah, for sure. What are your thoughts on somebody like he's younger? I know he's had his injury issues too. But somebody like a Makai Becton, do you think
Okay.
he can come in and challenge with Wanye?
Now, see, I'd be curious about that. That would be like a Veach special, right? Former first
Hmm.
round pick. He's had some just serious injuries because he's a big guy. He's super
Yeah.
athletic too. I mean, his film at Louisville was pretty insane. Just seeing him move around, and honestly, when he's been healthy in the league, he's been fine. So I think having him coming in to compete and then possibly just turn into your like long term swing tackle if he isn't able to stay healthy fully, I think that's fine. I I don't know if Becton could really command that much money, so that would probably be something that is on their radar possibly if they were interested in going after that.
Yeah, for sure. And then when it comes to the running back position, it looks like CH is not he's probably not gonna get retained. Jared McKinnon, he's had his injury history. He's getting older. I don't think he comes back. Are there some running backs? I know the running back market is kind of dwindling too, but are some running backs that possibly can come in and kind of just be the backup to Isaiah Pacheco?
I mean, it's not going to be like anyone super. attractive right now. I mean, I was like at one point earlier in this week, I was like, man, I guess if you can go get Alex Madison, I'd be like, go do that. He'd be fine. Then he got picked up. I know I really wanted Antonio Gibson at one point before this all started. I
Yeah.
thought he'd be a great fit, but
Mhm.
he got scooped also. And I mean, you just go down the list of guys. I mean, you're just kind of looking. I will say maybe it would be interesting, and I know he's coming off of some injuries. I think that I think Cam Akers is a free agent. He's kind of like he kind of busted in LA, he got his position taken by a couple of guys down there, but he is kind of like a possible like McKinnon scat back a little bit. They have a little there, there's some similarities there, but he's also coming off of some injury problems. So I don't know how attractive that would be for the Chiefs. I mean, they'd probably be best off, I think, just looking for someone late in the draft or going after the undrafted route.
Another guy that's had some terrible injury history, somebody like a J.K. Dobbins. Would you see them trying to bring him in possibly on like a 1 year prove it deal? I don't think he would garnish a lot of money, what I'm saying, to bring him in.
Yeah, that would be like that'd be a no brainer too, because and I like Dobbins a lot out of Ohio
Mhm.
State. I mean, that running back class seemed like at the time like it was going to be very, very legit. And
Right.
they've had some talented guys in there. Just you kind of felt like CEH and Dobbins could be the cream of the crop, and
Mhm.
CEH has had his issues here, and Dobbins hasn't really been his fault. It's just been his body hasn't been able to hold up.
Right.
But
Right.
if he did come in, I mean, it would be in combination because Pacheco's still going to get his. You just need someone to come in third down a little bit.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I just think he would be interesting to bring in. Give Isaiah Pacheco's, and if you strike lightning in the bottle with him, and he's still J.K. Dobbins, then hey, that would be a great thing for us. Now, back to the receiver position, there are some names out there because, like I said, I'm hearing that they want to bring in a veteran, another veteran guy, somebody like a Michael Gallup, a Tyler Boyd, Josh Reynolds, maybe Odell Beckham. Would you be interested in any one of those guys to come in?
I mean, there's been this mutual interest with Odell for a
Mm,
long time now. So, I mean, I know it's a bit of I mean, the Odell rumor's been going on for a while now. I
yes.
mean, I wonder if at some point he would just like say, all right, I've made my money. I'm just going to come play on a real cheap deal, just hang out, catch some passes from Mahomes, try to win a Super Bowl with the Chiefs.
Right,
That
right,
would be fun. Tyler Boyd would be, a nice addition, just a veteran out there. I think like a DJ Chark could also be possibly interesting for this team. Just he'd be kind of like a bigger body. They'd have another like bigger red zone target to go to, someone a little more consistent there. But there's not like a ton of names left to where I'm like, oh, we have to go out and get this guy. Be fun to have like Odell. It'd be fun to go get like Tyler Boyd from the Bengals, especially after all the trash talk
right.
from them and all that. That would be kind of funny, especially if
Yeah,
they have to play them the next season. But
yeah.
I'm not like head over heels for anyone that's left out there.
Now with the Odell thing, I mean, I know he's older. He's had his fair share of injuries. Do you still think he's an effective wide receiver?
I think for what the Chiefs would be doing with him next year, I think he would be fine because you got to. I mean, obviously Kelsey and Rasheed Rice are going to get theirs. There's going to be a little more interest in probably running the ball next season too, as Pacheco's kind of entering year three, and then you just have Hollywood also, and you have to believe they've got some plans for the way that they're going to utilize and attack him. I mean, I think if you have Odell in here and they go out and take a guy in the first couple of rounds, I mean, he's not going to be asked to be like number one or number two option. He could be like a really solid 3 or 4 for you. And honestly, that may be where a guy like a guy like him thrives. I remember that Super Bowl that the Rams won. Before he hurt his knee, he was dominating that game because everyone was selling out for Cooper Cup and they just had him singled up on the backside. He was making it look easy. It could be something similar to that because he is still effective when he can get out there. And, it feels like the Chiefs are trying to regather weapons in their offense after they struggled so much. So he would be just another nice piece to have in there.
Now, if they did sign a guy like that, you still got Justin Watson, and of course, I don't know what they're going to do with Kadarius Tony, and I'm pretty for sure they're going to keep Sky Moore, on the team. He's a rookie, I mean not a rookie, but he's a draft pick, so I think they're going to still bring him back. But if you bring in, okay, you bring in Brown, let's say you bring in Odell Beckham, and then you get a draft pick. That room's going to get kind of full, like it's gonna start looking like you do you need Justin Watson? Are you gonna trade or get rid of Kadarius Tony? Which that's gonna be 2 million in dead cap money, but I think that they wouldn't mind if they want him off the team. I think it'll get a little full. Like, what would they do with those guys?
The thing to remember about Justin Watson is just from like a pure receiver standpoint. I'm sure like you could make a case for why you need more or Tony more just because of their potential.
Mm,
But Watson has like also been one of their key special teamers for the last few
yeah,
seasons, and that stuff. It doesn't seem like it's big, but it's really big in the Chiefs locker room. Like that's Andy Reid and Dave Tober big on that stuff, especially since as top heavy as the Chiefs are, they got to have guys that can go out and play all these like positions, but then come in and like make key impacts on special teams, and that is kind of what Watson has done. That he downed the punt in Baltimore at the 1 yard line. It was really
hmm,
nice. That's one of the more underrated plays of that game. I
right.
think that would give him an edge. The thing with like Tony and Moore is Sky Moore is starting to run out of time, I think, a little bit.
Hmm,
Like the writing is kind of on the wall when they did make that Tony trade. And then they go back and bring back McCole Hardman. And he pretty
hmm,
much just finds himself, not playing. And then the injury stuff towards the end. And, the whole thing with Tony just, reports on his attitude being being a problem. Cause I mean, I do still think, they believe that he has ability. I think a lot of us would believe the same thing also.
yeah,
But
yeah.
they just I think just from like the way their quarterback reacted, he's letting those passes go off his hands and turn
Hmm,
into these interceptions. I'm
hmm,
like, I mean, like they can't have that anymore out of him. So big year for Moore and Tony to prove something. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they cut a couple of them in camp. I know when they cut Bashad Breeland, people were saying, well, they'll keep him around and give him another chance just because he was one of their Brett Veach's first draft picks, and he was one of the first guys to get cut the next season.
hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I can see, something where they have all of them, fight it out in camp, and whoever shows up,
I meant to say Breeland speaks. I said Bashad Breeland. My
I
bad.
know what you mean. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Sorry.
No, you good. All right, now going into the draft, what do you feel are like the biggest glaring needs that the Chiefs need to look at when it's going into the draft?
So for me, it's probably, I mean, it's you got to be taking a look at wide receiver, right? I
Mhm,
mean, that's what everyone's doing. I think the secondary thing for me could possibly turn into the secondary if they something happens to Snead. And also, I know they pretty much have re-signed their entire defensive line, but I like this defensive line and edge class quite a bit. So it's not so
mhm,
much as a need. It could be like, oh, we need these other guys, but then this guy, this guy with superstar potential could fall to you in a spot where you can take him. Then I think that's kind of what they could do there.
who are some top draft picks? Like, okay, let's start with the wide receiver room. Who are some guys that you like that, maybe they're not, because we're picking at 32. So I'm pretty for sure a lot of the guys that all the fan bases have fallen in love with are probably going to be gone. The 80 Mitchells, the Xavier Worthy might be gone with the 40 time he just ran. And, I know Brian Thomas Jr. is going to probably be gone. But there's the second tier guys, the Lad McCarkleys, some of those guys. Who are some guys that you might see? Maybe they pick them in the second round, or maybe they're there at 32 and they just say, you know what, that's our guy. We want to pick him. We're gonna take
And I do like Lad McConkey.
him.
I think that, people are like, he wasn't all that productive, but you got to watch. I mean, Georgia's got so many mouths to feed.
Yeah.
Like the 2 games, I think that Brock Bowers was out. He did have 100. Those were his 200-yard games, and he made it look like he
Mhm,
could have done it a lot. Xavier
mhm,
Leggett, I'm starting to like Leggett a lot more.
yeah.
been cracking down on him, watching him a little bit. I think he's just got explosive playmaker written all over him. He kind of plays like AJ Brown, kind of plays like Debo Samuel a little bit. I hate to
Okay.
compare him to such
Yeah.
highly touted players, all pro guys. But I mean, when you go up and watch him compete for the ball, when you watch him, run with the ball after the catch, it's hard not to get excited. Like a guy like him in the Chiefs offense, he'd be able to give them, deep threat options. He'd be able to run your underneath routes. He could be a threat on screens. There's a lot of stuff that they can do with a guy like him.
Okay. Um, is there any what you said mentioned defensive linemen? Who are some defensive linemen that you like?
Yeah, there's quite a few, and I think some of them will be available at 32 and also in the second round. I've been covering them quite a bit. I think for like defensive tackles, I like Johnny Newton and Makai Wingo. I think those are two more. Johnny Newton is likely going to be a high round draft pick, but he's got some injury issues and he didn't participate in the combine, so he could fall a little bit.
Hmm.
And Makai Wingo is only like 20 years old. He only played 3 years at LSU, but he had some outstanding testing numbers as far as like his explosion goes. But then I put on his film and I watched it, and the dude's just a bulldog out of his snap. He could come in, be a good run stuffer, but also has the ability to rush the passer. And then there's just been a couple of other guys I've enjoyed watching.
Um, you mentioned secondary. Are there some corners in like the maybe the second or third, maybe fourth round that the Chiefs can take?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do like. I'm not trying to sound like the Mizzou homer here, but I do like Ennis Rakestraw
Hmm.
from Mizzou. I mean, he's got kind of he's got like the nice frame that Spags is going to be looking for. You know, bigger outside cornerback type deal, and then just kind of looking around. I also do like TJ Tampa from Iowa State. He ran the 4.4. He's another bigger, longer cornerback. He plays man, or he's going to have the ability to play man out there. Like a guy who could be like someone if they lose Snead and they're like, oh, we need to go get someone in the first round. I'd keep an eye on like a Nate Wiggins, super fast. He ran ridiculously fast 40. He's also 6'1", got the big frame. He's played man to man defense a lot in college. So I think that could be like one of the like another like possible like trade up like when they took McDuffie type situation.
What's your thoughts on Max Melton?
Max, I'm honestly I haven't watched a ton of Melton yet.
Hmm.
I've like only recently started thinking the corner. I thought Chris Jones was going to walk and we were going to sign Snead to a long term extension. So that's how I
Okay.
planned my
Okay.
off season out. It's just this week that I've been kind of like we need to start getting more into the cornerbacks because
Hmm.
honestly that's who my podcast, the AP Draft Room I do with Ron Kopp. That's actually what we're doing cornerbacks and guards this week. So that was on the agenda for tonight. I've just watched some of these other guys sparingly because I've enjoyed their combine workouts or the Rakestraw just went to Mizzou.
Okay, okay. Now everybody, Travis Kelsey isn't getting any younger. He's getting up there in age, and we kind of felt that this past season. Injuries and age kind of showed up with him this year. And we've hearing word that they've visited with some tight ends. There are some tight ends that possibly could get taken. I wouldn't say they'd be the heir parent to Travis Kelsey because there's never going to be another Travis Kelsey. But we do need to think of the who he could pass the torch to once he retires. So, who are some guys that you like in this draft?
Yeah, I mean they went out and signed Irv Smith, so
Yeah.
maybe we'll see. Um, I mean, obviously they're not going to get Brock Bowers or
Nah.
anything along those lines. I know they're bringing in tight ends. I don't think any of them, like you mentioned, are going to be the heir apparent. I mean, Sanders from Texas, he could be super fun because he is just like elite route runner,
Mhm.
out of that Y position. I honestly think they could be more in line to like want to go out and get like a blocking tight end to replace maybe Blake Bell because that's Noah Gray's fine with that stuff, but it's not really ever been his thing. I think they might be looking more for like a bigger body to kind of just come in. They can get 4 years of team control on where like an AJ Barner or from Michigan or the guy from Ohio State just come in and kind of be like that load or that kind of like that six offensive lineman at times and just kind of create movement in the running game and also just be a goal line presence.
Yeah, for sure. Um, as we mentioned before, running back, you said there would be some guys late round that possibly that could be there. Who are some running backs that you would think could fit with the Chiefs' need? You know, as far as like being a backup to Isaiah Pacheco, or maybe potential be the third back. You know, out of the backfield.
Yeah, I don't know if any of these guys will be there late, probably like third, fourth round, but I like Bucky Irvin from Oregon. He's got a lot of hype around him right now, but he does do some really, similar type stuff to what McKinnon did. And another guy I've watched that I've been enjoying is Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. I feel like 10 years ago, he could be a guy you're talking about going in the top 15, but just kind of the way the league values running backs now, I think he would fall to like the third or the fourth. But
Mm,
I mean, he is a big guy. He can pass protect. He's got decent hands, and really, he's not just like some big run into the line of scrimmage like Gus Edwards type guy. He's got some quick twitch, some cutting ability. So he would be somewhat interesting, also.
what about the hometown boy, Cody Schrader?
Yeah. I think that well, it stinks that he had the hamstring injury at the combine. I think he was
Yeah,
going to do pretty well in the agility drills, the on-field section, where they can
mm,
actually like see how guys react with the ball in their hand.
right.
But his ability with his just his vision and everything, that's his stronger suit, and his contact balance. He is a solid blocker. Also, he could definitely come in and be someone that can compete for being that second running back on the roster, and then go, and possibly come in and make an impact later on in the season.
Yeah, for sure. Before I get you out of here, just talk about the AFC West. Were there any moves that any of those other teams made that kind of perked your interest?
Well, I think the biggest move, well, Christian Wilkins going to the Raiders. That's going to be pretty nasty with him and Crosby on that defensive line out there. They're kind of building a team in the image of what Antonio Pierce wants, and I think it's going to
Yeah.
be a pretty fun rivalry coming up
Mhm.
here, especially with you out in Vegas and everything. That should be a
Yeah.
fun one to go to the next
Yeah.
couple of years. But I mean, in some ways, I kind of think the biggest thing that happened in the offseason is the Chargers going out and getting Harbaugh. That's just what it seems
Mhm.
like to me now. I don't know what they're doing with their receiver room right now. I mean,
They
Justin
just
Herbert's still a really good quarterback, so I'm like, they might need to figure something else out. The Broncos traded Russ away, so that could be interesting. But I just think kind of the way it's looking across the board right now. I mean, the Chargers have talent, but I feel like the Raiders are going to come out and kind of be the team that competes with the Chiefs this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only team that's really made some, moves to try to, compete with us is the Raiders. They went out and got he's a solid quarterback in Garner Minshew. I think he can, he can hold down the fort until they, get their real franchise quarterback if they ever do. And like you said, Christian Wilkins on that defensive line is going to definitely help out Max Crosby. Um, I Denver, I don't know. I mean, they traded away Jerry Judy. The whole Russell Wilson situation is going to be a dark cloud over them until they get a quarterback in there that can, erase some of that stench away. And like you said, the Chargers, they just got rid of their receiving core. Their two starting receivers, Mike Williams, who just signed with the Jets, and then you got Keenan Allen got traded to the Bears. Now Quentin Johnson, he's gonna have to take a huge step from what he was last year, and I'm pretty for sure they're gonna draft a Malik Neighbors or a Rome Yadunza, somebody right there, whoever is right there for them to pick. So it'll be interesting to see how the division shapes up. So go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I've seen a lot of Brock Bowers mocked to the Chargers, a lot of that kind of stuff. So I'd be curious to see if that'd be something that Harbaugh would
Hmm.
be into. I feel like with Greg Roman's offense, as important as a tight end can be, that kind of feels like we might have to deal with that guy for a little bit.
Yeah, of course, we got to deal with Brock Bowers. No, But no, that I mean that would be a good pickup for them. You know what I'm saying? He'll definitely be a threat in the middle of the field for sure, and they can move him around because he's more of the smaller tight end type. He's not the big tight end guy. He's a smaller guy, so they can move him around, kind of in the H back type deals, backfield stuff, and all that stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting if they pick him. So. Well, Caleb, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, man, and giving us some knowledge on some of the draft picks and stuff, draft prospects, and how your thoughts on the free agency, man. It's gonna be interesting off season and on to the draft.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, bro. No problem, man. Before you go, tell everybody where you can, who they can follow you at and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man, you can follow me on Twitter at CJ Scoobs. Check out my stuff on Arrowhead Pride. I usually have one or two articles out a week, and now that free agency is almost all but wrapped up, it's going to be all draft profiles from me. So a lot of film review, and me and Ron Kopp Jr. We got our AP Draft Room podcast out every Friday morning. So take a look at that if you got nothing better to do. We get some good conversation in, a lot like me and Chris just had tonight. So should be hope you guys enjoy it.
Right on, man. Definitely tune in. Tune in. These guys know what they talking about. So, all right, Caleb, man. Until next time, brother. All right, people. It's a little shorter show today. You know what I'm saying? But I think it was a good show. Got a lot of nice. Shout out to the 110 people watching today. That's what I'm talking about. 110? Y'all like watching me? Y'all like watching our show? I appreciate that, man. I really do. But go ahead and give a shout out to all the sponsors. Give me a second here. I want to give a shout out to Bet USA. Don't miss out on this incredible offer from Bet USA. Sign up now and receive a 125% bonus on your initial deposit. With BetUs, you're not only getting a top-notch sports betting, but also a generous boost to start winning big. Hurry and take advantage of all this promotion. Use our direct link and sign up today. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Only new users are eligible for this offer. So why wait? Join Bet USA now and experience the ultimate gambling experience. Also, give a shout out to Glitch Energy Drink. Glitch Energy Drink offers a wide range of delicious flavors to suit everyone's taste preferences, whether you're into fruity flavors like Maui Punch and Cherry Bomb or prefer something unique like Blue Smurf and Grenades. There's something for everyone. Glitch Energy Drink is not only great for gamers and workout warriors, but also for everyday people who simply need a boost of energy. It's a healthy choice that you can feel good about. Find more information and purchase Glitch Energy Drink at glitchenergy.com. Once again, glitchenergy.com. Remember to use the promo code AHChiefPod. Get 10% off your purchase and start enjoying the benefits of this delicious and energizing drink. Also, give a shout out to Invicto Watches. If you go on the Arrowhead Chief Podcast Twitter page, and also if you go on our YouTube page and go into the description box, you'll see the link for Invicto Watches. You click on the link, get your watch, go into the promo section, and get 15% off of watches, man. Some nice watches too, man. Check them out. If you look down at the bottom, you see the link emqpodcast.com/locker-room. If you go to that link, you'll see the locker room access of all the podcasts under the Every Morning Quarterback umbrella. They have a 49ers one, they have a Patriots one, they have a Jets one, they have our Arrowhead Chief podcast. Click on the banner. You'll see all of our episodes from the recent ones to the past ones. Also, check out their podcast. They talk about everything NFL league wide. They also talk about college football, and they give you betting tips for the week. So go ahead and check them out over there at Every Morning Quarterback on YouTube. And whatever streaming platform you use to listen to your podcast on, whether it be Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, whatever you listen to your podcast on, Arrowhead Chief Podcast is on there. Also, if you're a first time watcher on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification button. So when we go live on Tuesday, you could pop in, be in the comments section, um, and you could talk about the topics with us, man, because we want y'all to be a part of the show just like we are. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and be a part of the family. And whatever social media platform you use, whether you use Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Threads, whatever you use, Arrowhead Chief Podcast on there. Just type in AA Chief Podcast and we'll pop up. Follow us. We'll follow you back because our motto over here is we're not Hollywood. We're just regular Chief fans just like y'all. And just like Joe always says, we Hollywood. So go ahead, follow us, give us feedback, give us critiques, give us questions pertaining to the Chiefs or NFL, pertaining to the NFL, or give us questions, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. We want y'all to be a part of the show, like I said. So go ahead and do that. And we will give you a shout out if there's a question or a topic that you want us to bring up that we like. So go ahead and do that. And all right, people, until next time, Chiefs Kingdom, next Tuesday, I'm gone.